There is no excuse for the Israeli government's ongoing restrictions on humanitarian assistance. They fly in the face of Israel's public commitments. So let me be clear. My government condemns these restrictions in the strongest terms. So we are calling on Israel to finally and immediately make good on its commitment to flood Gaza with aid.
The war in Gaza must end immediately and without conditions. We reiterate our call for a ceasefire now. Israel, as the occupying power, must scrupulously comply with its legal obligations to ensure the well-being of the civilians in Gaza. It is illegal to deny the population sustenance and health care and to take actions meant to physically destroy the population.
These constitute another act of collective punishment against a Palestinian population entirely dependent on these services for survival, further compounding their suffering and denying them their right to life and dignity.
We call for full implementation of all 4 Security Council resolutions related to this war and all ICJ orders on provisional measures. We underline that starvation as a method of warfare is prohibited by international law. We reject all attempts to starve Palestinians in Gaza.
Israel must allow immediate, unimpeded access for the delivery of adequate food, water, medical, and nutritional supplies into and throughout Gaza. The siege of northern Gaza must end. It must facilitate repairs to health facilities, water, and sanitation infrastructure, and the passage of vital materials required to meet the basic needs of the population. These requirements are binding legal obligations and are neither arbitrary nor negotiable.
Thus, we condemn Israeli military officials' reckless and inflammatory rhetoric reported last week that, I quote, "No one will be allowed to return to the northern Gaza, and no humanitarian aid will be allowed there, because there are no civilians left in the area," unquote. These remarks are clearly inconsistent with the current reality of northern Gaza, where numerous civilians have no choice but to stay as a result of injury, lack of safety, age, or no guarantee of security to move to other areas.
Let us recall that Israel has been strongly encouraged, including by the ICJ, to fully cooperate with the UN to ensure unhindered provision of basic services and humanitarian assistance. We are concerned about what the loss of UNRWA's functioning is expected to bring about on the grounds of the region. Israel's responses to the situation, including the adoption of Knesset bills, appear inconsistent with the obligations under international humanitarian law.
我们看到，每当国际舆论或个别国家的批评上升的时候，加沙的人道援助似乎就能取得一些进展。这反过来也说明，占领方并没有拿出全部努力，为缓解加沙的人道灾难，仍有巨大的行动空间。
Current happenings in the Gaza Strip violate all Security Council resolutions, including resolutions 2417, 2573, and 2730, that strongly call for the respect and protection of the civilian population, including humanitarian personnel and civilian objects.
The United States, too, has made clear to Israel that it must address the undisputed humanitarian crisis. So far, thanks to intervention by the United States, Israel has taken some important steps, including restoring aid deliveries to the north. Still, Israel must ensure its actions are fully implemented and its improvements sustained over time.
Israel, which has been killing Palestinian journalists 182 of them that we celebrated the other day in Geneva in a conference, killing Palestinian journalists to stop them from reporting under false pretext, can allow the international media into Gaza to report on who is responsible for what, on the real conditions in Gaza, on the magnitude of this human-made, occupation-made catastrophe. But Israel will not, because it knows that what the international media will report will provoke a moral and political earthquake. They come and lie to the media and the stakeout outside, but they refuse to allow the media to go and report for itself the facts. And we are grateful for all UN agencies and the briefers who are with us for telling the facts as they are and the lies of the government of Israel and their representative.
Get out of your own way, because we simply cannot continue in this manner. This obsession with vilifying Israel is detached from reality. Let us only examine the facts at hand instead of the political agendas that have plagued our debates for so long. Before leaving the chamber today, I urge each of you to consider the facts. Look closely at Israel's actions on the ground. Consider the risks our soldiers take to uphold these humanitarian commitments, often in the face of active threats. Recognize that while the IPC might sling mud, Israel is working persistently at great personal cost to deliver aid and uphold the principles of international law. Acknowledge that Hamas is the source of the situation. Follow the cries of the Gazan people and focus your energy on defeating their true oppressors, the Hamas terrorists. As we have seen before, there are agencies whose focus is bashing Israel, and there are agencies dedicated to real humanitarian work. This Council has a responsibility to make that distinction and focus on enhancing those agencies committed to genuine aid, not those invested in spreading lies. Ultimately, Israel will continue its work to protect civilian lives and fulfill humanitarian obligations despite biased reports and manipulated narratives.